Thanks a lot for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. Let's check out what the papers are reporting this morning on the front pages, specifically beginning with the West newspaper. And the big story is captioned, Tinubu set to commission Lagos Red Line Rail project today. The 37-kilometer train is to run from Agbado to Marina with 13 stations at Agbado, Iju, Agege, Ikeja and other parts of the state, especially on the mainland, as have been mentioned on the program earlier. In other stories, Makinde, that's governor of Oyo State, freezes tax on farm produce for 6 months. Aida Tiwa, governor of Ondo State, approves appointment of new head of service. Alaafin succession stalls as kingmakers fail to reach consensus again. In the meantime, 82 princes are on the shortlist. High cost of materials killing us. That's from producers lamenting as fresh increment on the pure water sachets as well as bottled water looms. And crypto crackdown as FG detains Binance managers. Next to check out is the Nation newspaper. Tinubu is quoted as saying, "We are laying solid foundation for restructuring. Southwest expects comprehensive rejig of polity. President visits Afenifere leader." Of course, this talking points now were during the president's visit to Ondo State, where he visited a number of dignitaries. But in other news, President plans executive order to cut prices of drugs. Government injects 50 billion into primary health care. 2 foreigners held for forex manipulation. Saboteurs will not be spared. That's the latest from the presidency. Federal government insists rejig of agencies will not lead to job cuts. It maintains Nigeria's economy not in a mess, says ex-UK envoy. And Wigwe wife, son for burial on March the 9th. Next is New Telegraph. I will restructure, pay Nigeria's debt, says President Tinubu, takes responsibility for nation's challenges to sign executive order to reduce cost of drugs, secures 1 billion Afrexim bank grant for medical development. FG set to release 50 billion basic healthcare funds. This is on the New Telegraph newspaper. And other stories there, CBN moves to freeze funded accounts without BVN and the NIN. Cryptocurrency crackdown, Nigeria detains visiting Binance executives. Blackout in Abuja as vandals attack electricity tower. On hardship, NLC insists on 1 million naira minimum wage. Okay, let's see the Daily Times now. Economic hardship is still the big story there. Your patience, perseverance will not be in vain, Tinubu assures Nigerians. Army uncovers 40 illegal oil wells in Rivers community. NIMET, Verizian partner on key climate services. FG recruits more than 2,400 health personnel, enrolls 750,000 others into the NHIS scheme. Work with the private sector to address peculiar challenges. Labour leader says, that's Joe Ajaero, says NLC will no longer honor government invitation for dialogue. And on the Oronsai report, which is to be implemented, federal government assures that it will not lay off workers. Vanguard newspaper is next. Still on the Oronsai report, FG Labour disagree on job losses. And there are several riders following this big story, among which are there will not be job losses, FG maintains. But Labour insists on the fact that there will be massive job losses, which it says it will not accept. NLC asks attributes to... All right, let's just move on from that. We called off strike over threat of intimidation. Edo Guba, fresh crisis brews in PDP. Makinde moves against rising food prices in Oyo State. Tinubu to Nigerians, I will not rush to restructure. And the Mambila Power Project, I have no regrets paying Agunloye's medical travel bills. That's according to Adesoya. Theophilus.
So move to this Nigeria. Forex crisis. Federal government detains Binance executives after ban on cryptocurrency trading website. Aronsoye report, we won't throw people into labor market, says federal government. Recruits 2,497 doctors, others in 6 months to augment brain drain. Tinubu speaks on tough times, assures he'll fix things. Senate plans sanctions for heads of MDAs who refuse to employ people living with disabilities. Insecurity. FCTA demolishes criminal hideout near BDC headquarters in Abuja. Suspected meningitis outbreak kills 20 students in Yobe State. OPEC to NNPC boost oil output for $14 trillion global market opportunity. That's in this Nigeria newspaper. So let's move to the blueprint. Healthcare Fund, federal government rolls out 50 billion naira executive order and drug cost underway. Records 3.46% GDP growth, crashes petrol importation by 50%. Nigeria already reaping benefits of our reform, says Idris. We're navigating the twists, bends to our nation's prosperity, says Tinubu. And of course, Shetima inaugurates new NACON board, talks members on Hajj operations. That's in Blueprint newspaper this morning. New Nigeria Direct says federal government doubles first tranche of basic healthcare fund to 50 billion naira. Resumes payment of 25,000 palliative to 12 million households. Tinubu arrives Lagos today for commissioning of the Lagos Rail Red Line. Harvard to spotlight to the Illuminati Foundation as case study in curriculum. Aronsoye report federal government allays fear of job losses. Dollar crashes by 6.45% to 1,450 on the parallel market. That seems to be some good news there. NCC commits to local content development in telecoms. That's in the Nigerian News Direct this morning. Now let's move to Salient Times. Hardship. Coalition of Ogun youths present 11-point roadmap to Tinubu. Faults Abiodun's palliative measures. Police arrests suspected killers of female corps members in Benue State. Ogun judicial workers suspend strike after meeting with the government. Man allegedly killed his wife with poison in order to inherit a property. 100 patients benefit from Ogun Free Surgical Intervention Program in 2 days. Man sentenced to life imprisonment for raping 19-year-old grandmother. That's in the Salient Times newspaper this morning. We move now to the First News newspaper. Forex volatility. Federal government clamps down on crypto firm Binance. Arrest visiting executives. Suspects detained, passports seized by office of an NSA. Their economic saboteurs. They've hijacked CBN's role, says presidency. NCC orders MTN, Glow, others to block SIMs without NIN. Wigwe's City of David Parish missing as family releases burial plans. Economic hardship. I feel your pains. I take full responsibility. Tinubu tells Nigerians. And of course, Ghana passes anti-gay law. That's in First News newspaper this morning. Moving on to The Guardian. Nigeria spends about 50% of all earnings and production cost. NNPC alone spent over 267.98 billion on securing its assets in 16 months, which means the entire industry could be spending about 1 trillion naira on insecurity in the period. Federal government recruits 2,497 medical professionals to address brain drain. How federal government threatened, intimidated us to suspend nationwide protest by Ajero. Interest rate hike takes a toll on stock markets as investors lose 1.4 trillion naira. Pro-panel on Buhari's government, a 30 trillion naira loan sits next week to summon CBN officials. That's in The Guardian this morning. The Punch newspaper is saying here, same NIN linkage. NCC rules out extension. Telcos bar 12 million lines. MTN, Airtel, others vow to enforce NCC order by midnight of Wednesday. Ashaba envoys, others comment Punch at photo exhibition. I take full responsibility. Nigeria will recover, says Tinubu. Subsidy removal, petrol import crashes by 990 million litres monthly. Sri Lanka delivers Punch 50th anniversary lecture today. That's in the Punch newspaper this morning. The Platform Times says here, JAM registrar calls for tough measures against social media abuse. Ogun Deputy Governor, ex-UK envoy harp on competency and social media usage. MTN network outage blamed on fiber cuts. Akeredolu wants a fearless fighter. Tinubu pays condolence visit to widow. Tinubu assures Nigerians we will overcome economic challenges. Reps probe multi-choice over alleged 1.8 trillion naira unremitted tax. Businessmen arraigned for obstructing NAFDAC officials in Crusader medicated soap case. That's in Platform Times this morning. And finally, from my end, Business Day, Airpeace slashes Lagos to London route fare by 66%. That's in Business Day this morning. Invalid NIN puts bank withdrawals at risk. And that's it on the Business Day newspaper this morning.
All right, Theophila, so much to ponder on, so much information to digest in the papers this morning. And, of course, the big story that features prominently in the several papers we have looked at this morning is still on the reactions following the presidency's latest announcement that it will implement the Oronsai report. It's a 12-year-old report. It spanned from the Jonathan administration into the Buhari administration, but didn't get to see the light of day in terms of implementation. Now, from what we are seeing, from what we are hearing, another committee has been set up by the incumbent administration, of course, led by President Bola Tinubu, and they've been given a mandate to work out the modalities on a smooth implementation of this report. It is still insisting that there will be no job losses, but in the wake of the nationwide protest embarked upon by the labor sector earlier in the week, it's also a talking point for them, and they are maintaining their stance that they will kick against any job loss. And according to them, there will be massive job losses. There's also, there's been a back and forth. The government is still saying it will make sure that no one is deprived of his job. In the meantime, according to Vanguard, NLC is saying it has asked its affiliates to furnish it with implications of this implementation on its members. The Trade Union Congress, also another influential labor group, has set up a 3-member committee to monitor the process. And there are also some other reactions this time around from SANO, the Senior Staff Association of Universities in Nigeria, saying rather than implement the Oronsai report, why don't we scrap the Senate, and that we do not need a bicameral legislature, right? But Peter Obi, interestingly, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, has welcomed this development, but urges that the implementation shouldn't be done in a hurry, as well as giving some more advice. And he also says that the fact that he is in opposition doesn't warrant blind, unconstructive criticism. All right. Interestingly, again, we will come back to talk some more about this issue, talking about how best for the federal government to implement the Steve Oronsai report. And that will what we'll be treating when we return from this break.